What's up, everybody?
I told you again and again, we are not gonna call again in this number.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Rodger Williams, and I'm back with my end of the year stream. I hope everybody's having a good day. On my end, it's looking a little bit choppy, but how's it looking on YouTube? If anybody can hear me, on my end, it's looking a little bit choppy, but how's it looking on YouTube? If anybody can hear me, on my end, it's looking a little bit choppy, but how's it looking on YouTube? If anybody can hear me. Hello, everybody. If you're joining in, I hope y'all come in and enjoy. We got a good one for you. Today, we're going to be having a few special guests come on today. There's probably not going to be no scam baiting like that. We're just going to go on and we're just going to enjoy a little bit of just visitation with some very special guests today. Uh, it's going to be a good morning. We're just going to have a few special scam baiters come on. A couple of them that are coming on in a little bit is romance scammers and online scammers. Miss Annie. We got scammer takeout coming out, and there might be a couple more. Who knows? And so we might have a couple improv people just pop up. You never know. We're just going to talk about our channels, the future of our channels, and what the future holds for them. What's going on? What went on this year? Of some of the baits that we had, some of the crazy stuff that happened while scam baiting, and going from there. Just enjoy what happened in 20 talk about what happened in 2022 and what the future holds for 2023 and what we currently all have going on as in scam baiting, what to look forward to. So I hope we all enjoy things. I'm starting to stream a little bit early. Takeout, how's it going? Everybody, Takeout will be one of our guests that joins in a little bit. There, we're just going to kind of improv this. Like I said, there's nothing really in particular to throw out there that we're going to be doing. Just whatever we want to talk about, that's how it's going to be. So I'm just starting to stream a little early because, of course, I don't have as big of a channel as some people, so people will kind of see that it's on there. So we'll have some viewers and all. It's basically why I'm starting now. So, uh, Miss Janice, good morning. Glad to see you on here. Miss Betty, glad to see y'all on here this morning. It's all right that you can't stay. I appreciate you being faithful and watching everything and watching things on my channel, Miss Janice. Same way. Uh, I'm kind of seeing it on YouTube on my phone, so at the same time, so I kind of make sure. Are y'all able to hear me, Miss Janice? Takeout, can y'all hear me? Good. I'm glad y'all can hear me. Good. Uh, I'm just kind of sharing it, make sure that I get it shared across the platforms that we're live now. So, and just telling a couple more people. But anyways, I appreciate everybody coming in this morning. Uh, Most likely we won't have no scam baiting, though I do have one person that has been kind of an irritant through the year that I don't know if I could get the person to talk, maybe we'll just go ahead and do a live reveal maybe whenever we have a bunch of scam baiters just to make the person feel like a fool one more time. Who knows what's going to go on. But I've got a like I said before, I've got a few guests coming on this morning. Takeout from Scammer Takeout is coming on. I appreciate him coming on here and just joining in with us. I love watching his material. He goes after a lot of the PCH scammers, which, you know, we'll fish more of that out of him and how he got into scam baiting. Miss Annie from Romance Scammers and Online Scams will be coming on. Uh, and then hopefully a couple more. I'm not going to throw them out there unless they actually just pop up, which they know that anytime they can pop up if they want. Uh, let's see here. I'm going to look at a couple things real quick and let's see here. We're going to. I'm going to see if there's anything we can present to kind of fill in until 10 o'clock hits because our guests are coming on till about 10. So, uh, you know, this year we've had quite a year. I mean, between work and everything else, uh, it's kind of hard to scam bait and work and have a full time job. Okay, to pull up these videos and make the videos and scam bait and spend time with these scammers, it takes a lot. Uh, so to go through it is a long process, and it's taken me a while to just come out with my next video. So I figured that I'd just wait until the beginning of the year and just start over. So I appreciate it. Takeout. So I really appreciate you making that community post, and so, but but yeah, just going through and making these videos, it takes a lot. It's there are some people who's able to post twice a week, things like that. Some people can't, but I try to post them out the best I can. And actually, just to even get to this stream right here is, I've had to do a lot of moving around and everything, but I'm excited about this today. The people that I invited out, whether if they're able to make it or not, are people that I watch a lot of their videos, and they kind of influence me in the way that I scam bait and the the just going after these scammers. I watch their videos and kind of learn off of them and kind of mooch off their videos on how to do certain things. So, uh, but I appreciate everything that they do, and their fight against scammers. So, uh, and then there's people that have influenced me that aren't YouTubers that have that are that have been in the background that have if I need help with make sure my videos are going to work right, either live streaming or whatever, advice. Hey, will you talk to this scammer for a little while? And so there's a lot of people in the background that have helped out, and I really appreciate it. And that's what this stream is about. Uh, so like I said, once again, if you're just joining in on the live stream, I appreciate y'all coming in. We're starting a little. I just started the live stream a little early, so maybe we can get some more people in. But we got some special guests coming on this morning. We're going to just talk about scammers, talk about past scams, the shenanigans that we've gotten into, the what the future holds. Just about just anything. there's something they're wanting to share about their channel, share about scammers, advice about scammers, anything like that. So, you know, as y'all join in, just remember 10 o'clock is whenever the official stream is going to start. Whenever we got people, whenever we got my guests coming on. So I appreciate it. Uh, just remember that any of these videos that you see, don't be afraid to share on your Facebook that we post, because our ultimate goal is to try to stop these scams and inform the public about these scammers, how far they will go to actually scam. I mean, these people are trained the one way or another. They either train themselves or work with a network of people who train them in order to try to get these scams to work. Uh, I know takeout goes after a lot of the PCH scammers. Uh, they kind of learn a little bit about PCH, and then they throw in their little bit of whatever in order to try to get people to fall for the PCH scams. And people get duped for a lot of money really quick out of that. And sometimes them scammers may go 2 or 3 days, maybe without ever getting a victim. But whenever they do get a victim, at times they may get $500, $2,500, $5,000 out of these victims. Romance scammers, they are a little bit more patient than what the PCH scammers are. They may go through a week or two without ever asking for money and find somebody that's lonely and start talking to them and start with their emotional blackmail. And so once they start knowing that this person is reeled in, then they'll start the actual scam of asking for money one way or another by saying they're stuck at an airport, they're stuck here, their child needs uh, some sort of care, and the only way to pay for it is with gift cards. Hey, Miss Annie from Romance Scammers and Online Scams, I appreciate you joining in. Miss Annie, she is like a guru at going after these romance scammers online. On They come up on Facebook, anywhere else like that. So hopefully we'll be able to squeeze a little bit of advice out of her today and see what she says about things. Uh, Miss Annie, like I told you in takeout, I have really no kind of big plans on this stream today. It's going to be very improv. Whatever we talk about is going to be talked about. So whatever comes up, that's what we'll talk about. Most likely, it won't be no uh, scam baiting on this, but uh, I do have one scammer, and I'll reveal it as Rihanna Williams, who I went through I forgot how many, 4 or 5 part series, 3 part series, something like that. Still talking to me to this day, and I'm thinking about maybe while we have people on here, somehow or another, just go ahead and reveal to the poor sucker, because I've got that person actually still talking to me till this day from his real Facebook, from his real account. And so I'm thinking about doing a reveal on that, but we'll talk about that later. Uh, but yeah, whenever it comes to scams, everybody, these scammers, we for somebody like us who do these scam baitings, we know what to look for. We think we sometimes believe it's real easy for all of us to know exactly what to look for, and it is. That's what we kind of prepare ourselves to do, is to learn about these scams and to tell people about it. But these scammers don't go after people like us. They go after the vulnerable, the people who have some sort of tragedy in their life. You know, they might be going broke, they might be lonely, they may feel like they have nobody else in their life. And so that's what these scammers are looking for, that one sucker. And, you know, that's the best way I could put it. They try to find that one person who is very vulnerable and just find that one weakness within them, whether if it's a PCH scammer, one of the IRS scammers, uh, PayPal scammer, romance scammer. They try to find that one vulnerability from that one phone call from that one person who who has some sort of weakness, and it takes just one word in order to trigger that in order for them to fall for these scams. So as we go through and make these videos through these years, our job that we bestowed upon ourselves is to try to let people know about these scams and how to prevent it and how to identify it. So, uh, everybody, real quick, while I've been rambling on, uh, how is the video quality? Everything going good? Because on my end, it's looking a little choppy, but is it looking good on my end? How's how's the video quality? Am I going off and on, or is it looking pretty smooth? Good deal. Take out. Good. All right. We looks like we got about another 7 minutes by my clock that we're before we start. So it might just be the way it looks on my end right here. So just as long as everybody else can see it good, that's all that counts. Uh, so well, we'll find you somehow, Miss Annie. Anybody in the chat. So future people that may not be able to see the live stream, anybody in the chat, is there anything that y'all can want to post? I know it only allows like what 200 words or 200 characters or something. Anything that y'all want to post on there that can somebody's looking through and saying, just scrolling through the live chat later on. Is there any advice that y'all want to give? Just a quick little old word on scams that you want to post so somebody's looking through it. Maybe they're like, hey, that's a good thing. That's a good advice. Any advice anybody wants to give out? Hey, Pez, how you doing? I'm glad that you joined. Everybody, I'm glad that y'all are joining so far. Uh, Hopefully, we'll get some more people, and whatnot. But uh, so far, all we're going to be doing is just kind of enjoying the morning or evening, wherever you're at, and just I got some special guests coming on this morning, Pez, in about another 6 minutes. I got them coming on, and we're just going to talk about scams. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Take out. I mean, that's pretty simple. Uh, if you're going through Facebook and somebody tries to tell you if you give if you give them $100, they'll give you $1,500, and they instantly invest in it. No such thing. That's 100% a scam. If you've been scammed before and you got somebody that says that they're a hacker recovery person, and they say, I can help recover all your funds and recover your Facebook, recover this and that, that's 100% a scam. Uh, don't give out personal information. Exactly, Miss Janice. I appreciate that. Do not ever give your personal information. Um, there's a channel that I watch, Atomic Shrimp, and he has all kinds of stuff that he does different videos. But one thing he does is scam baiting, and one of the things he just simply says, don't ever give your information to a stranger on the internet. And simple, don't ever do that. Don't ever give your information out to anybody on the internet. The more information that the scammers have about you, the easier it is for them to scam you somehow or another, to assume a different identity, to take out a credit card in your name, to get into your bank account, anything. If anyone wants to start scam baiting, do not use your real phone number. There's plenty of resources out there. Get with a scam baiter to learn before you begin. It's easy to get in over your head. Yes. Uh, Unfortunately, I was one whenever I started scam baiting, and I still feel the effects. I did start using my own phone number at first because I didn't know how to use text now or anything. This was a couple of years ago. Until this day, I still get so many scammers, so many people calling that phone number. But I can't just change it because I got so many people from my work who call me on that, and I just really don't want to switch numbers. And the best way that I've gotten it reduced down is to not really answer the phone to strange phone numbers. So maybe it'll reduce down some to where I don't get so many scammers. But for a while, I mean, I'd probably get over 150 scam calls in a day from that one number. If they want to start chatting on WhatsApp, Google anything but where you started, move to the next person. Yes, yes, these scammers on with a romance scammer, they will typically say that they want to move somewhere else because they don't get on Facebook much, but yet they're talking to you all the time on Facebook. What it is they're wanting to try to move somewhere like Google Hangouts, WhatsApp, anywhere else because they know that their profile is fake and there's people that are reporting it, and at any time their profile will get deleted. And so once it's deleted and they haven't moved you to Google Hangouts or something, they're not able to find you anymore. So that's why they're wanting to move you over to another site, another way to chat, something like that. And so they could continue on with their scam like that. That's some good advice. Uh, so as we got about another 2 minutes, and then we got at least two guests that are going to come on. We might have more. You never. I mean, they're a toss up, but I appreciate at least the two guests that are able to come on this morning. Uh, I'm kind of excited about this. Like I said, I just threw this together. I've been kind of planning it, but never really thought about what to talk about, anything like that. Dinky Toy, I appreciate you coming on here. You can just join in at any time. Y'all can join in at any time now. I mean, by the time y'all click on everything and get in here, y'all just come in whenever you want. Miss Annie. Uh, Dinky Toy, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Dinky Toy, I challenged everybody to kind of give a quick advice in the chat, so when people who haven't been on the live stream uh, get to see this in the future, just give a little bit of scam baiting advice or advice on how to not get scammed. So, what advice would you give? So, for somebody that's reading this in the future, what would be some of your advice? Uh, Hopefully, this works. I was having a little trouble whenever I was testing everything out the other day, but I think I got everything worked out. So hopefully my guests will be able to come on. So uh alrighty. Add the stream. And our first guest, Miss Annie from Romance Scams Online Scams. Can you hear me?
Hi.
All right, I can hear you, Miss Annie. Alrighty.
Oh, I can hear everything twice. Oh, hang on. Wait a minute. That's it. I had your stream open as well. That's better.
Yeah, you left YouTube open at the same time with the
I did.
live
I've
stream.
closed it
So
now. Let me enlarge that so I can see you. That's better.
and take out if you can't if you're camera don't work, you could just come on with just the voice if that helps you. Whatever you want to do there, Miss Annie. So you said it's about 4 p.m. where you're at, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, sorry, it's 4 p.m. here. Yes.
Anybody that has never, who's been under a rock and has not seen romance scammers and online scams, seen Miss Annie's channel, go subscribe to her. And down in the description, if you can't find her, I got her channel in the description. For anybody that might join on the stream in the future, if I haven't put their channel into the description, I will after this. But Miss Annie, it's been about a year with your channel, hadn't it?
It's been 18 months since it's been what it is, a romance scammer channel. But it started 2 years ago as a sort of just anti-scam channel, but then it morphed. So it's been 18 months really.
I gotcha. And 2022, I mean, you have been through the ringer with these scammers, right? I mean, it's just been a roller coaster of just shenanigans and antics and everything else with these scammers, right?
Yeah, I think they might think they're the ones that get put through the ringer, though.
Well,
Depends who they're talking to. I've got some really good ones coming up in January.
well, coming up in January,
Yeah.
is there anything that you want? It's what are some of the things you mind talking about it? Like what are some of the names and what's some of the things that they're talking about?
Well, the good one is, the problem is I'm about 6 weeks ahead with the uploads. So as soon as I've uploaded them, I forget what they are and go on to the scammers that I'm talking to, in the moment. But there's a good series coming up starting next week, I think, with a scammer who was called Frank James talking to Denise, and he was really funny, very thick, geographically challenged, but he was tenacious. He was hanging on in there, and I think he had 5 goes at asking her for money. It's a series of, I can't remember whether it's 4 or 5 videos, one or the other. Hi, Take.
Hey, Annie.
Take out. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Man, I'll tell you what. Annie and I was just talking about the romance scammers and how 2022 was just like a year for the just shenanigans that they throw out. And same with you. You have had some really just thick-headed scammers that you've just put through the year. And also, I mean, y'all both came up with some new characters that have just, I know what you take out is just, I just want to throw it out there. Ghost has been one of them that's just, I told you, Ghost shouldn't work. Ghost should not work. Can you tell us about Ghost?
All right. So Ghost started. So I did a bait. It was a few months ago, and like maybe even 6 to 8 months ago, where I hacked a scammer's phone line. Hacked. I was playing both characters, but it worked so well, and I wasn't planning on ever using that character again, but it panned out to where it was going to be perfect for this other scammer because we were doing some like voodoo type stuff. So I made him think that that I hacked back into the phone line, and it turns out it was the same scammer that I did it to the first time. So it played out even better, and chat loved it to the point where they were asking me to bring Ghost back into all these baits, and I can't do that. I wish I could, but I can't do that every single time because then they're going to start catching on. So and then Jim Browning put out a video with him, Trilogy Media, and I think Mark Rober was involved too. And he was hacked into the call center's phone line, and he said his name was Ghost. So I think subconsciously I took the name Ghost, and just because the scammer asked me just out of the blue what my name was, and I didn't know what to tell him. So I think subconsciously I just said Ghost, and it worked out. So yeah, the scammers love Ghost.
I tell you what, it was great. I love Ghost. I love hearing the story on it. Like you said though, you can't do Ghost every time. Just like I came up with a new character, Mildred. Me myself, I don't have a big voice changer and everything yet. I don't. I actually I'm more or less doing my scam baits in my trailer. I just stay in a 26-foot travel trailer whenever I'm at work, and so I've only got so much room, so I can't just have. But I use Clownfist, which is actually a voice changing software rather than a hardware,
Mhm.
and so uh, I'm able to do a really really good old lady voice. But my other characters are a little bit harder to do.
Right.
But like you said, uh, it's hard to really you can't just do the same voice every time like that. You do have to change it up, or else the scammers will catch on.
Right.
But you got people like Miss Annie who does a little bit of improv voices with your scammers. So whenever they call, you got a voice according to what your character is. And so go through some of the characters that you have, Miss Annie. You got, of course, Annie, and then who else you got?
Well, there's Annie who talks like that because she lives in the West Country. She lives in Shaftesbury. And then there's Denise who talks like that, but nobody really liked her at first, so I had to tone her down a bit, didn't I? And then there's Samantha. She's the hard-nosed one. I've been doing Samantha today. And then there's Persephone. She lives in Orkney, but she came from Leeds because I can't do an Orkney accent.
And, and Miss Annie,
And I've really
according
got to practice a Geordie accent for Celia, but I
and
just
Miss
can't do
Annie,
it.
your characters, uh, you've actually went through and with I think if I'm not mistaken,
God.
it's 3 of your characters. You've actually went through and wrote books about them. You've actually got books on Amazon, right?
Yeah, 2 so far, Serafina and Denise. If the third one ever gets written, oh yes, well if the third one ever gets written, it's going to be the posh lady Cassandra.
Okay, and so what
In
brought you
the
about
next
wanting to
book.
write books
But she's going to
your
be,
characters?
instead of standing up to the scammers, she's going to fall for one of them. Do you really want to know? I have a friend was on and on and on at me, telling me that I would be good at writing, which I'm not, to be fair. And she was on and on and on at me on Facebook, telling me that I needed to write a book. And she said she'd done some editing, and she said if I wrote a book, she would edit it. And she was on and on and on at me for months. So finally, I caved in and wrote the book. She never did edit it, but I wrote the book anyway. And then, having written one, the story of the second one just sort of came. So I wrote the second one, and I started the third one and wrote myself into a corner that I couldn't get out of. But I do now know what I want the story to be, so it might get written this winter, or it might
Now,
not.
now, Miss Annie, just to let you know on your video,
But it was fun.
your
It was.
videos
I've never
your
written. I
video is
mean, I've
looking like
written because I used to
your
be an adult education teacher, and I used to write.
your videos are looking like a Japanese movie. We can see your lips moving, and then like 6 seconds later, you're there's your voice afterwards.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Can I leave and rejoin? Because I'm
Yes,
using a wireless
try that.
connection. If I can wire myself to the router,
Yes, you can try
it
that.
might be better. Let's see if I can work out how to exit. Uh, um, uh,
It should be down at the bottom. Okay, yeah.
Uh, all right, while she's going through that, take you're like me. You just started within the last a little bit more than a year ago, right? Or probably
Uh,
about a year
February 1st was my first video.
of this year.
Yep.
Wow. And so, I mean, for somebody that just joined, I mean, your channel, how many subscribers you have right now? Did you see last? About
1.2 thousand.
oh, so less than a year.
Yeah.
And
I
so
put a lot of that into like Annie. Annie was the first scam baiter that ever reached out to me. I think I had done like 1 or 2 videos, and then Annie had reached out and kind of like mentored me. So there was Annie, and then CJ Scams and Tagao brought me onto their show. And ever since then, you know, I've kind of adopted their fan base with me. So, you know, I put a lot of credit into CJ, Tagao, and Annie for helping my channel grow.
right, and I was kind of the same way. I got interviewed by Miss Annie. I've been interviewed by CJ Scams, and you know, on their channel, and you know, I thank them. But also, of course, I go through, and anytime I make a video, I've got about 20 Facebook groups that I post my stuff in, also trying to get it out. But you know, Miss CJ made a good point that kind of changed my thinking on the way I try to get my channel to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because most of the time, whenever I post a video, typically my last 5 or 6, last 5 videos I made, even though I've only got a little over 300 subscribers, I've been getting more people to see my video than actually subscribing.
Right.
So it's one of those, I'm getting what I'm wanting out there. And so that's the main thing, is the views, is getting people out there to share it, to get the information out there about the scams that we're trying to get out. And so I don't really worry about as much of the subscribers as I am just trying to get my stuff out there, you know, because I was like, I need to get subscribers and everything, because subscribers mean views. It's not necessarily true, you know. I mean, I'm sure that you got videos out there where it's like, right now you got a little over 1,000 subscribers, but you probably got a couple of videos, I think, that it might have hit 3 times that many.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird. It's like I can't figure out what it is now, because I feel like my videos are better now, but I'm not getting as many views. So
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because like if you go back to my old videos, they're so boring, and you know, they're long drawn out videos, like close to an hour long, because whenever I would do the calls, I would edit it, but I would only cut out the dead space. You know, so like parts where we're not talking is what would be cut out, rather than only the interesting parts. So I don't know. I'm like you. Like I feel like at first, whenever I first started doing this, me and Tagao had the same point of view. Like we were chasing subscribers. And now I've gotten to the point where, you know, I don't really focus on subscriber counts anymore. If I gain some or if I lose some, I used to lose like 1 or 2 subscribers, and then I'd be heartbroken, you know, but now it doesn't really bother me anymore. But yeah, I do feel like, you know, people say the views isn't what matters, but it is. You know, I mean, the whole point of doing this is to get information out there. You know, the more people that you reach, the more people are going to learn about this stuff. So I don't understand that point of view where the views don't matter. The subscribers don't matter. I agree with that, but the views do.
Right. Miss Annie, how's it? Let's test it.
Okay. Well, I agree with Take that it's views that are the important thing, not subscriber count. It's nice to see the subscribers growing, but it's equally nice. Well, no, it's nicer to see how many views you get, because, as you say, it's views that spread the word, isn't it? Is that any better?
Yeah,
it's better.
It's a lot better than what it was. There was about a 10-second delay in your voice to lips moving, but now it's probably about a second and a half. Miss Perfumetics, it's good to see you on here. I'm glad that you came on here. Perfumetics is kind of a background person for Miss Annie. She does a lot for the scam baiting community we don't see, so I appreciate you doing it. KDA Scam Baits, I appreciate you coming on here this morning. I hope you're having a good day. And I keep saying morning because it's still morning at my time, but I know that I know it's evening time for our English friends over there across the pond.
I think it's still early in the morning for KDA. Isn't that right, KDA?
Let's see. So Miss Annie, some of the back scam baiting that you've done in 2022, let's go through some of the things that you've been through with some of these scammers. You've had, I'll bring up one that I remember because I recently got the privilege of being on your channel to do your awards, is Johnson James. So what was up with Johnson James? All right, he was really just all over the place, and so go through some stuff with Johnson James.
I suspect that, well, he didn't speak English for a start. I suspect that he'd somehow been forced into doing it. He was either a mate of somebody on the scamming team or the younger brother or somebody on the scamming team or something like that. Because he had no idea, did he? I mean, he literally had no idea. I mean, he couldn't scam his way into a paper bag, let alone out of one. And you know, the iTunes card repeatedly, and all that stuff about living in, was it California, and traveling to work in Ohio, and his good friend was a pilot, and then he wasn't. They didn't allow him to know his own address when Denise, was it Denise, said she's, I can't remember who was scam baiting him, said she'd send him a photo. He wasn't allowed to know his own address, but he was a doctor, and yes. You're so beautiful to me. Please get me iTunes card, $20 of iTunes card. I could never do his voice, but you can hear it. It worms its way into your head, doesn't it?
Well, it's kind of one thing I've noticed
And
about these scammers. What
and
they
then of
do
course there was
is
the
what they do is they use this thing called what you like to bring up is emotional blackmail, and same thing with the way your scams are take out. What they do is they use some sort of emotional blackmail to get into the victim's head, whether if it's the way Johnson James, oh, you're so beautiful and everything, and like I said earlier, we people like us who do this, we could look at that right away and say, there's no way anybody could get scammed by this. But there's somebody who may have a lot of emotional damage on the inside that usually not being told that they're beautiful, but this person is telling them, hey, I'm from Russia or somewhere like that, and I think you're so beautiful, you're so pretty and everything. And after a while, they're like, hey, I need help, and their mind is just altered, just like the PCH scammers.
Right.
Their mind gets altered whenever they're like, oh well, I won this much, and I've seen them on TV, and that PCH scammer knows enough about what PCH does, and then even though that the victim may have that gut feeling that something is not right, just the fact that they're able to override that red flag and just go with it, because there might be that chance that they can get something out of it.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, they got $2,500 stolen from them, $500 stolen from them, maybe even more,
Yeah, and I think it's very easy. People will sometimes comment on, my videos. How can people possibly be taken in by this? And what they forget is the very fact that they're on my channel watching the video means that they know before I've even said, hello, welcome to another video, they know they're about to watch a scam. So they know that the person that I'm talking to is a scammer. Whereas in real life, if you don't know about scammers, and it's easy for those of us in the scam baiting community who, let's face it, probably share a large proportion of the viewers between us, but
Mhm.
there are billions of people out there. Not everyone knows about scammers, and it's I always say anyone can be scammed if you let your guard down. You know, you get a text on your phone, you're busy, the baby's crying, you know, the dinner's just boiled over. You get a text on your phone saying, you know, your card hasn't gone through, and your mind's all over the place. And with these, same thing with these romance scammers, they'll contact someone who has left a comment on, you know, something on the BBC, CNN, saying, you know, something about, you know, what they think of President Biden or what they think of global warming or something, or they've left, you know, a comment that means something to them. Somebody replies and then sends them a friend request. And they just let their guard down and they think it's a genuine person. And then that person starts saying, you know, where are you from? I like your picture, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's easy for men and women all around the world to get taken in if they're feeling a bit lonely or they've let their guard down or they're not feeling very well. You know, it's dark and miserable outside because it's the middle of winter and you want someone to talk to. And suddenly, you're drawn in. And yes, some of the scammers are their English is so terrible. And when I say English, that's because I speak English and I scam bait in English. But obviously, this happens around the world in all languages. Um, their grasp of your language is so poor that you realise that they're scammers. But you know, some of them speak very passable English or whatever language you speak, and you just get drawn into it. And they're flattering you, they're being nice to you, they're telling you what you want to hear. Um, and then the deeper people get in, the harder it is to get out because they're getting, I mean, Perfume Addict explains it better than I do. That they're getting a rush of endorphins and a rush of hormones, and it makes it. I think of it as an addiction for some of the romance scams, a bit like being addicted to drugs or drink or gambling. You know you shouldn't do it. You know you shouldn't be taking drugs. You should know you shouldn't be gambling. You know you shouldn't be drinking to excess. But people go into denial because they get a rush of hormones, they get a high from doing it. And I just picture people getting to the end of the day, it's dark, they're a bit miserable, nobody's spoken to them all day, and they think, well, I'll just go on the computer and see what this nice man or woman I've been talking to has got to say. And they come on and they're flattering you and they're telling you all these stories, and it makes people feel good. And that's what you know, that's what they're playing. That's what they play on.
I agree with the
And also, I say that I presume this is an adult stream, that you get a rush of sex hormones, and you know, before you know it, you're feeling feminine or masculine, and maybe nobody's made you feel that way for a long time,
right.
and it's an addiction.
I agree with that. You know, like
Oh,
with us,
I've got Rodger
the-
got Rodger on his feet. Look,
Sorry, I'm making me some coffee.
he's
So
going in the kitchen
sorry.
for that banned drink.
yeah, with like the PCH scammers, you know, they either want to use you for a money mule.
All right. Dinky Toy says, what about feeling guilty to leave that person? Does that play? Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, PCH scammers, they'll take everything. Like I talked to a victim where she lost her house, she lost her car, they drained her bank account, they left her with $30 because that was all she had in her pocket in cash. But with it being an addiction, you know, it's easy money for them as long as they can play their role.
Yeah.
With romance scammers, how much do they like? I can't really say how much do they usually go for, but like, what's the most that you've had them try to scam you for?
Yeah. Well, you see, that's a difficult one because obviously they can only ask once. Because in real life, if they actually scam someone, they'll ask you for, a $50, $100, $200 iTunes card. And if you give it to them, then they'll ask for more, as you know, with the PCH, they ask you for more and more and more and more. The most anyone's ever asked me for, I think, was last year, 2021, towards the beginning, and I don't remember the guy's name. But I think he was one of the ones that was going to set up a hospital. That seems to have gone out of fashion this year. And he wanted whichever character it was to buy all the equipment and the drugs, and I think it was £250,000.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to hand that over, aren't you?
yeah.
But mostly it's somewhere between a 50 or 100 iTunes card. I always, and I don't have any evidence for this, but I always think that the beginners or the scammers that are just kids having a laugh or trying it because their mates told them you can earn money or that kind of thing, they, I think, are the ones that ask for the lower value iTunes and Steam cards because they can use them or change them.
Right.
And then the more experienced ones who've got access to a money mule tend to ask you for somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, either to pay for their leave or for that elusive helicopter that's going to get them off the oil rig, or that kind of thing.
Right.
But the really high value demands, I don't really get anymore. I think they've worked out that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't know if you see that with the type of scams you do. It's interesting how they morph and shift as the months go on. So there'll be a few weeks where it's fashionable to ask a particular question or do a particular thing. There was a fashion where it was a few weeks where it was the thing was to call right at the start of the scam. That didn't last very long because obviously I guess they realised that most of their victims realised straight away that they didn't have an American accent or a,
Mhm.
wherever they were claiming to come from accent. I mean, I had one today that I was talking to that claimed he was from Liverpool. Then he tried to tell me he was in South Africa. Then he finally, when I told him he was Nigeria, admitted he was actually in Ghana.
Now take whenever it comes to
So that was a fashion for a while, but
the
that's
scam
stopped
baiting
now.
that you do,
And
or the
now they've gone
scammers that,
back to just chatting to you at the beginning.
sorry, I'm trying to get my words
so,
right.
yeah.
Whenever it comes to the PCH scammers and the scam baiting that you do, have you ever got to talk to any victims yourself? Have you got to actually personally talk to them? And what is it that of your experience with them whenever they've gotten scammed, how much they've gotten scammed, and whenever you're advising them, what can go over that on your end?
We have to be really careful with our victims that we find. First of all, they have to be screened. Any information that I get, I report to the people that I report to, and they come back with all kinds of information about the name that I give them and the address and stuff. And so they have to be screened before anything else happens. They get screened by whether if we find out that they're a mule, it gets reported to the FBI and the Jamaican task force in Jamaica. But if it's a victim, then we have to go into getting permission to speak to the victim. If like the people that I report to have to talk to the victim first. That's a must, because with the PCH scammers, they're particularly dangerous because they have people in the US that will go to these victims' houses if the victim does not do what they want them to do. So, it's really the victim that I talked to, I had to wait for a couple weeks and get permission from a few different people before I could talk to her. But she was willing to talk, and they took everything from her. She lost her house, her car. They left her with $30 in her pocket because they couldn't get that because it was in her pocket. Yeah, it's bad. And it got to the point where they showed up to a woman's house with just a regular car and a magnetic taxi sign stuck to the side, and knocked on her door and said, "Come on, we're going to Western Union so you can send the rest of that money."
Wow. And that all goes back to, simple things like your address. Never give your address out. Never, I mean, these, like you said, these scammers will go through a lot, because the thing is, whenever, it doesn't matter if it's in England or in America, these scammers are outside the United States, so they're governed different, and they're using VPN. If they're good at what they're doing, they're using VPNs. They're using all kinds of stuff to hide and mask themselves. They're not using their real identities. They're not using nothing, and they got mules on the ground, like you said, uh, to go after people, especially if they're in bigger cities and stuff. And so, whenever we say don't share your information, don't share your address, don't share your phone number, don't share your social security number, don't share none of this, because these scammers will go through a lot in order to take your money. And like you said, they got mules on the ground that'll come and take it from you one way or another.
Mhm.
So take out. I really appreciate what you do on all this. And another thing that that you just mentioned is reporting. All right, that's something that a lot of people tend to not do, is report this stuff, because local law enforcement can't do nothing. This person can't do nothing. I'm not going to get my money back. So if I just leave it alone, then. But reporting is really important. What, Miss Annie, uh, you've gotten a few bank accounts yourself. We've gotten bank accounts from these romance scammers. I know, every other time Takeout does this, he gets a bank account somehow or another. I mean, so
It's easy
but
with PCH though, because they just throw it out. The romance scammers, I don't know if I could do what Annie does, because there's so many different characters. You got to remember what character you are for this person, and it's I want to try it, but I just don't know if I could do it.
Real quick, I want to thank everybody that's coming on the stream, that's in the chat so far. Dinky Toy, Scambait Beyond, I appreciate y'all coming on. Miss Sandra, I appreciate it. Everybody that I've missed so far, I really appreciate y'all coming on.
I have been known to get confused.
I really appreciate everybody that right now we got 18 people. I was expecting about 5 people to be on, so 18 people. I really appreciate y'all coming on. Share the stream, let everybody know that we got this going on. We're talking about scammers, talk about our channels, talk about what we got going on, just anything improv. So I appreciate everything. Also, I've challenged people in the chat, if you haven't heard it yet, put something in the chat, that some advice about how to prevent scams, anything about try to prevent a scam. Just put it in the chat. Jennifer, I appreciate you joining in. I appreciate my guests that are on so far, Takeout and Miss Annie from Romance Scams and Online Scam. I appreciate you coming out and being with me this morning. This is my end of the year stream. Like I said, I didn't have no plans on what to talk about. This is just kind of like my Christmas gift to myself, to have some of these people on here, and so appreciate y'all being my Christmas gift. So,
Yeah, no problem.
so whenever it comes to reporting these, uh, let's say there's somebody that's trying to scam somebody out of a Chase bank account. What is it that Takeout, if I don't, or Miss Annie, one of y'all, what
Well, it's very
what is
kind
it
of you
that
to invite us.
what is it that you do in order to try to report some of this? What are some of the Is there any advice that y'all can give?
First of all, I want to say before I forget, if you do start scam baiting, make sure the address that you're giving these scammers is not a real address. That's a must, especially with like the PCH, because they have people in America. They will show up to that address that you give them. And the second thing, make sure that you're reporting these addresses to the bank accounts and the addresses or whatever, to the right people. There's people that will tell you, I've experienced it before. There's people that will tell you that they report to the FBI and all this stuff. Some people think it's cool to say that they have an FBI contact, when in reality it may just be a police officer, their neighbor or something. Make sure that it's going to the right place, because with the addresses and stuff that we get, we've had scammers arrested because they get reported to the right place. The Jamaican Lottery Task Force is a big one. You got to make sure that you're reporting to the right people.
What I personally do, because obviously I'm in the UK, I hop on the Facebook, because all my girls have got Facebook accounts. Whichever girl is involved in the scam baiting hops onto Facebook, finds the Facebook account of whichever bank it is, and messages them. And I've found that banks are more responsive on social media, and mostly they will ask for some screenshots of the conversation. And sometimes you can send them the bank details on the chat. Some prefer you not to, because Facebook chat isn't secure. So they'll then give you an email to email the bank account details to. I've had some accounts taken down mid-scam. And I've got one video coming out next month where I tried reporting a scammer to, well, I'll say it, Lloyds Bank, one of the major UK banks. And that was just hysterically funny. I got on chat, and they said on chat, could I send them the full transcript of the conversation? No, so they said, could I send them screenshots of the full conversation? Well, it had been going on for days. So I sent them screenshots of all the conversation on Facebook, and then missed out about 2/3 of the chat bit and sent them the end on chat. And then they said, can you report it to, and it was something like fraud@lloydsbank.co.uk. I'm not sure what the email was. So I dutifully sent an email, got a canned reply saying this email is only for reporting email fraud. So I phoned Lloyds Bank, and once I'd navigated my way through 99 options on the phone, got through to a lady who, and this is not a joke, told me she didn't know what a money mule was. One of the
Now, Miss Annie, let you know that your delays are getting further and further.
And then the Facebook people who'd asked me to send them all the screenshots then told me that they couldn't send them to the fraud department because they didn't have any contact, they didn't have any connection with them. So I don't know why they asked me to upload them all. And then I did actually. The girl. I don't think there's anything else I can do. I am wired to, yeah. I'm wired in. I live in a rural area, not as rural as I used to, but it's not brilliant here. Shall I talk more slowly? Will that help?
Right now, it seems like it's about a 30-second delay.
Yeah, it's a pretty long delay. Yeah, I mean it's pretty long, but yeah, but yeah, let's see here. Let's look at some of the stuff on the chat. There was somebody that asked one thing that
I
said,
I honestly don't know what else I can do because
uh, Journey for, I hope I'm saying that right with my country accent there. Is there a resource to find the right people? What is it that you were asking about that?
think she's talking.
Jennifer.
I think Journey's talking about the resource to find people to report to.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what scam is going on as to what the right people is. Uh what would you say about that takeout?
The I got with Nanobator. Nanobator helped me find a mule, and he introduced me to, because Nanobator's he's getting pretty big right now. He got me with the people that he reports to. So I think it's more. Whenever I first started, I wasn't reporting. I didn't know that that was a thing. You know, so I was just kind of calling to, like, I thought of it as like prank calling, like advanced prank calling.
Hmm.
Um, but whenever I got my first address, I was like, okay, what do I do with this? So I got with Nanobator because me and Nanobator are good friends, and he introduced me to the people that he reports to, and so that's how I found him. I don't really know a good way to find people to report to. I think you just kind of have to start scam baiting and have people reach out to you, and maybe go that way with it. I mean, if you get bank accounts, you can always report those to the bank.
Also, everybody that's in the chat, if you do have a question about anything, just put it in the chat and we'll get to it. And we'll see if we can't answer it throughout. So, uh, but yeah, even if you're not a scam baiter and you see some sort of scam going on, there's always ways of reporting it. Depending on what the scam is, you may have to do your own research, but it's important that you report the scam that's going on because, you know, the more we report this, the more people have the information on it, the more people are able to figure out what's going on with this and get that information out there. The institutions that people are using to do these scams with will have more information on it and able to figure out what they can do in order to make their platform better, I guess you could say.
Right. Um, isn't there like the FTC or something, or is it the Better Business Bureau that you can report fraud to?
Yes, you could report that. The Better Business Bureau is good. If you find a fake website, you can report that to the Better Business Bureau, and after a while you get enough people to report it, they'll usually shut it down. The FTC, you can have the FTC, you know, go through, and if it's any kind of like bank fraud or any kind of other fraud, you can report it to that. If it's a bank institution somebody's trying to use, you can report it to them. Most bank institutions has a fraud department that you can report to on their uh on their website, or you could call in. uh so yeah, it's always important to report. And if you have any questions about that, you can always go through and ask somebody. Typically, most scam baiters have an email that you can email and ask about that, and typically they'll do their best to go through the email and ask and answer your questions about it.
Mhm. Um, I think a big part of the reporting side is patience, because a lot of times the FBI and all that stuff, if you find the right people to report to, the FBI is going to build a case file before they act on anything. They have to build evidence before they act on anything. So you just got to be patient with it whenever you do start reporting, and eventually you'll see some results.
Right. Nikki Lawrence, she asked, I've always wondered, is it possible to actually find people whose pictures are being used? I think they should know what's happening with their photos. There's a website called socialcatfish.com. You actually got to pay to have a subscription for it. There's other ways. You can always take the photo and copy and paste it into places like Google. Into Google, you do a reverse image search, but there are websites that are dedicated to where these scammers will find a photo and or find an Instagram account, and they will actually use that person's Instagram account and steal their photos and use it to scam people. Most of the time romance scams, and so there's you could take that photo or photos, which I've done that, and Miss Annie has probably done that too, taken that photo and has actually found the victims. And typically, these victims already know. And whenever I say victims, victims who have had their pictures stolen, they probably already know that their pictures are being stolen and used in a romance scam. And they probably have. It has been shown on if you ever see Scamfish, which is a YouTube channel ran by socialcatfish.com. They'll typically say that these victims already know that their pictures are being used, and they don't really want anything to do with anything because they're already getting emails and private chats and stuff. Hey, you've taken me for $20,000, and I thought you loved me, and that person's like, I don't know nothing about this. I don't know you, lady, or I don't know you, dude. And so that person's just as much of a victim as the person being taken for their money. And so, yes, they just recently did a video with Trilogy Media, Perfume Addicts, Social Catfish did, where they actually walked up to, because Trilogy Media, they'll straight up knock on somebody's door and not even care. And so, which is very awesome. But they knocked on a money mule's door who actually knew that they were taking somebody's money and knew that they were being used as a money mule and started hiding in different places in the city that they were in. But when some of these money mules, sometimes they know that they're being money mules and see it as a cash opportunity, and some people just don't really know the difference in what they're doing. And so, like you said, it's good to report this, but you got to also be sensitive as to who you're reporting and who the victim is, because that's what they are, as victims, and they really don't know what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah. I've got to go. I've got some family coming over. So,
Okay.
I appreciate you having me on, though.
Takeout, I really do appreciate it. And before you go, is there any advice that you would throw out there that you could say that would be any helpful advice?
I think what I said earlier is make sure the address that you use is not a real address. If you start scam baiting, don't scam bait with your real phone number. And if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
That'll work. Well, I appreciate you coming out. As a matter of fact, we just got another guest to come in, but I do appreciate you coming out.
What's up, Dale?
What's up, Takeout? Annie? Rodger? Each and every one?
Each and every one, exactly. Well, Takeout is actually saying that he's got to go, so I appreciate it, Takeout, and I wish you a happy new year, and I hope everything goes good with your family today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And Deo, I plan to get with you a little bit later if I can.
Yeah, for sure, man. Reach out for sure.
All right, I'll see y'all. Bye, Annie.
Deo, it's good to see you.
Oh
as
yeah,
I was telling everybody else on the stream here,
you're
what we
looking very
got going
dark and
on
mysterious.
is Miss Annie's got about a 30-second delay whenever it comes to her voice compared to her mouth, so she looking like a Japanese movie right now. So
nice.
But we're just kind of improv everything,
Yeah.
talking about whatever we can, whatever talking about 2022. Some of the scam
Yep,
baiting
bye
that
for
we've
now.
done. So Deo, I appreciate you coming on today. So 2022, as I said, it's been about a year for us scam baiters. Uh, you have, I've noticed in the last year, your channel has really seen an influx in subscribers, and I mean, you have every reason why, because you have done a lot of scam baiting and done a lot of good things whenever it comes to catching these scammers. Now, one of the videos that I've recently watched of you is that you done one thing that is probably one of the hardest things for you to do, which is call out another scam baiter. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So first, let me address why I'm in the dark. Because I know it's a little weird. So basically, we've had like a rough couple of days here at home on the home front. This whole month actually has been pretty brutal for my family. Kids have been sick. Then I got sick. Then my wife got sick. Then it's been cycling through. I've got 4 kids, so it just kind of like hits us all differently. And just 2 days ago, my wife spiked a fever of 41.5. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's 41.5 Celsius. So it was really, really, really bad. So she had to go into the hospital, and I couldn't take her. All our family's out of town. They're in Chicago. Um, so
Right.
anyways, we didn't really have anyone to like take care of the kids. It was really late at night, and yeah, anyways, so I look like crap. So I'm in the dark for that reason. So
No.
if anyone's wondering
Well,
why,
I know that y'all's weather. Uh, I know down here where I live at in the south, we've gotten a really, really, really bad cold snap, and so I know whatever we get, it's going to be 30 times worse up there where y'all live at in Canada. And I know that in Fahrenheit, y'all been getting way down in the negatives, -7, -10, 15 degrees, and
yeah,
so it's been really cold. And it
at
I talked to
a lot
one
of
of
snow,
my
a lot of snow.
friends who I talked to one of my friends who lives in Canada, and she said that it got so bad, not even the snow trucks, the snow plows could even go through and plow.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of snow, a lot of snow. That's pretty much it. So, yeah. So
But
that's
yeah,
it.
we understand. Understand that you're, got to be in the dark, and I'm sorry that your family is going through the sickness and everything. And I hope that they get better. You know,
Thank you.
I really do. So, uh, whenever I was mentioning earlier, you called out. What is it that made you decide? Hey, something needs to be done about this on this scam baiter or scam baiter. What is it about? What made you look
Yeah.
into that?
Okay. So, I try to explain it like in my video. I guess in
I
like
hope your
a
wife is feeling better soon. How is
thank you,
she?
Annie. She's doing much better. She still has a bit of a fever today. So I can't stick around for too long, but yeah, she's definitely much better. Um, not not bedridden like she was like the last yesterday. She didn't see the kids at all. So yeah. So yeah, this is the first time she's never like not seen the kids in like a full day. So anyways, thank you for asking. I really appreciate that. Um, so Roger, like basically, um, I I mean I just thought it was an important thing to do, um, because it was being portrayed as something that was real. And I could tell by the comments that a lot of people thought it was real. But when I saw the initial video, there's so many things that I think, um, I'm trying to gather my thoughts and give you like a really like not chronological answer, but an answer that makes sense. Just I have a lot of thoughts about this whole thing, and
Oh, I'm sure it's probably so much into it. It's hard to really explain. I understand.
yeah. So okay, so basically, when I saw the tweet that said that someone was faking scam baiting videos, I was like, I didn't even know that could be a thing. You know what I mean? So I went into the first video that I saw, and then I kind of went down this rabbit hole of going through the videos and just realizing, oh my gosh, like a lot of these are not, they're like, I can tell that they're not actually real people, like real scammers, if that makes sense. And so like I literally sat on it for a while and I just contemplated. I'm like, if I say something, it's probably not going to be looked at as good. It might come across as me trying to hurt someone who's creating scam baiting content. But my challenge was looking through the comments of the video and seeing like the comments, basically people believing that it was a real call. And if our job is to protect people as much as we possibly can, that may also mean that we need to protect them from content that they believe is real, like content that is portraying that they're doing something to actually help like victims, but it's actually not, if that makes sense, right? So so the way I looked at it was kind of like I let it go over, like, you know, I saw that March 29th, I think, is when it was sent to me, that video. And then like April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I didn't make the video until 9 months later. You know what I mean? Like I literally had been watching what the channels, I say channels meaning his first channel and his second channel, because he kept reposting the footage over into both channels. And like he wasn't like clarifying anything and making anything look like it was legit. I did get a chance to see the response video, and I've already kind of like talked about this a little bit, but and I don't have a problem like talking about it, if that makes sense. I just want to make sure my words don't get taken out of context and twisted or anything, because it was never meant to be a thing where I was calling out another scam baiter, but rather it was meant to help protect people from that kind of content.
Well,
right?
you know,
Because
this is
donations were being asked for, and I thought that was kind of disingenuous and scammy, to be honest.
well, you know, this is my thing. Whenever it comes to us scam baiters, we kind of pride might not be the word for it, but we go through and it takes a lot in order to come up with the materials that we come up with. I mean, that's what I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to use the word pride because that's the word that's coming to my head and it won't leave. But we pride ourselves in knowing that we go through these scam baits in order to share to the public. And if you really love what you do whenever it comes to scam baiting, the subscribers don't matter. What matters is the view. You knowing that people are viewing this and actually taking it and sharing it and letting
Right.
people know that this scam is going on. You know, and whenever you have somebody that is faking a scam, it kind of puts a bad taste in who else is faking. You know, is scam baiting really a real thing or is it fake? Because you know, and it makes people especially people like you and Pierogi and all these other ones who go through with these who go through with the telemarketer scams. It makes y'all look bad. It makes the whole entire community look bad, and saying, well, is this really a real thing? That do these scammers really go through and do all this, or are we just trying to make a buck or two out of it? You
Right.
know, and so it makes y'all look bad. And so I appreciate that you called this out, and I know it's not something you take pride in. I know you're not proud
Nah.
of having
Nah.
to do that, but you did what you had to do in order to let the public know that, hey, you know, and it's not necessarily that these scammers don't go through what that scam baiter went through or what he portrayed. But the fact is that people are sending money to him saying, you know, good job on catching that scammer, when it's not really a scammer that he's actually baiting. It's just all just reenactments.
Right. Well, okay. There's a lot to unpack there, even. but suffice it to say that yes, I feel like um, you know, calling that out, I feel like made it so people understood that this is something that it's not the first time that has happened in scam baiting. Like there
Right.
is a guy about 4 years ago or something like that named Leo Takax who also faked scam baits. And there is a guy named Tekit Realms who also, the Tekit Realm, I think is what his name is, who has also faked like scam baiting as well. And so this wasn't the first one. This is actually, I think, the only second or third um, or fourth even video that has ever called out another scam baiter. But I think that um, I might be the first one who is sorry, I'm not the first one actually in the scam baiting community to make a video on another scam baiter calling out fake content. Um, and I feel like it was the way that I went about explaining how the content was faked that that I was trying to keep it really concise and to the point. Like I had a lot more stuff that I could talk about, but I decided just to kind of like my video was much longer, but I decided to cut it down to just those 3 points: the fake scammers, the fake um, connections, and using the Fiverr actors. And so I just want to keep it to that, so like people understood like what to look out for, how like listen to these conversations. Do they actually sound real to you? And unfortunately, to a lot of people, it still sounded real. And still after he put out his response video, I don't know if it was really a response video to my video. He didn't really address me in particular or more of the other claims that I made, but his response video basically people still in the comments are saying, "We know you're real." You know, like you know what I mean. So that to
Right.
me, it just kind of like solidified to me that we can put out as much content as we want to try to help as many people as we want to, but a lot of people will not even really see the truth, even if it's staring them right in the face. Even after he's come out and said, yes, they're hired. Yes, I paid for hired actors and whatever, and people still comment like your videos are 100% real. It was just kind of like it's just kind of like it's mind-boggling to me. As far as I do want to address maybe a point that he made in those videos with a couple of points of my own. If his concern was for safety and saying that these were reenactments, it was really easy to just make that disclaimer from the get-go. It's when people leave comments saying this is fake, instead of like deleting the comments, which he did and continues to do, just responding to a comment or pinning his own comment saying this is a reenactment of a video or like of an actual like scam call that I had. But just responding to that and making a pinned comment, instead of putting like this is my best video to date, like making it seem like this is something that actually happened, just making something like a disclaimer up front in the pinned comments, or I wouldn't say in the description because a lot of people don't even read the description, but something in the actual video itself, instead of like deleting the comments. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was a little disingenuous. And at the same time saying, because of what happened with Scammer Blaster, these videos were faked long before that ever happened to Scammer Blaster. So,
Right.
That's the defense again is I don't want to say it's malarkey. I don't even know what the heck that word means, but I've heard it used that way. But you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't seem it didn't seem genuine to me as a genuine apology. And so whatever, it is what it is. I'm done. I'm really done like talking about that and that in particular. I think the best thing and unfortunate thing is like he finally came clean. It had to take someone to call him out for it, and cool, like he came clean and as best as I guess he could, and that's it.
Well, I know that you don't have a lot of time, and Miss Annie actually left something in the chat, was asking if we'll move on from this, but I just wanted to say I appreciate that you did something like this. But Miss Annie, she left something in the chat, said, "Are those people commenting on the videos saying they are real also paid actors?" You know,
No. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get into this whole like tit for tat kind of thing. Like, I'm not gonna make a response video to his video. I think his video is enough for himself to try to clarify his stance. A lot of people were like, well, why don't you respond in that video? I think if even if I did, I'm pretty sure he said that he was going to block certain channels from like commenting anyway. I cannot comment on those videos anyway because of that reason. So even if I could, I still my comment would probably be deleted anyway, as we've seen him do. I have not deleted any comments. In fact, people have left comments on my video, basically that are right now they're held for review, and the ones that are held for review typically are ones that are like say any like threatening things, like either to me or to anyone else, like where there's like a threat. But also if they have links in their comment. I block links to my comment section because I don't want anybody posting like malicious stuff that someone in my comment section may click on. So I don't allow any. So if I allow one, I have to allow all, and so I'd rather just not allow any. If that makes sense. If that makes sense.
well,
So
well, actually, I actually wasn't expecting to talk about it this long. That part of it. It's just that I just wanted to more or less say I appreciate what you did on that. And doing that, and I know that's probably outside of your. I know that's outside of your realm of what you usually do, but we appreciate you pointing stuff like that out. And you know going through that. So whenever it came to 2022, what are some of the highlights of some of the baits that you've went through this year? Other than that, what are some other things that you went through that you can remember?
yeah, sorry. This year started off like really crappy for me. I lost both my grandparents within a week, and so
Sorry to hear
I
about that.
thank
I
you, brother.
really hate that.
Yeah, so I didn't post consistently on my channel like from like for I think for like a month and a half in like all of February. I didn't post on my channel, I don't think, and I don't think I started till like mid-March, I think. But this year started off kind of like bad in that sense, and then I had like a really lot of great experiences this year as far as scambaiting goes. To be honest, like I don't really have anything that really sticks out as far as like an actual scam bait in particular, but I have experiences like, for example, going to the People's Call Center was incredible. Just being there with so many great scam baiters, and getting to meet so many of the like like myself, CJ, and Modderpaw. We were the smallest channels there, and I was like the second longest. So I mean, shortest person there. So it was no one told me how tall any of these guys were. So they were giants. You know what I mean? Like they were humongous, just huge, tall, like beasts of men that I
Right.
I wish I had known. But anyways, it was like just a good experience being there, seeing everything that happened like in real time, like the amount of work that happens behind the scenes. And I know that there are so many scam baiters that do so much stuff behind the scenes that we don't ever see. You know what I mean? Like a lot. You know what I mean? A lot of people who work on calling victims, a lot of people who report information, a lot of people who are, in the trenches that we don't see. And yeah, they are incredible people who are doing incredible things behind the scenes. And so, but I got to see that like in real time with Jim and Pierogi and Pleasant Green and Trilogy, and yeah, and just seeing that, like all that stuff that was going down was just really eye-opening of like the amount of work that goes on, if that makes sense.
Right. And I'm guessing doing something like that, even, I know that you had a rough year, like you said with your grandparents and all, and I'm sure
Hmm.
doing something like the People's Call Center probably got was probably it probably brought your spirits up and getting to do that. And also there was so I watched a lot of the People's Call. Of course, there's so many scam baiters that went there that had so many hours of footage. It's really hard to impossible to follow it all. But you got to meet people like Pleasant Green, Trilogy Media. You got to meet uh, Mother Paul, CJ Scams, and I'm sure there's probably a whole lot more people that got invited that wasn't able to go to it. But I mean, whenever you first got that email of Pierogi messaging you saying, "Do you want to come to this?" What was it? What was that? What went through your head?
Oh, well, I had heard him talk about wanting to have a call center like a couple years ago, a few years ago.
Hmm.
So I always just thought like, yeah, if I could ever go, if I always thought he was gonna do like a virtual one, if that makes sense. But
Hmm.
but I always thought, yeah, like if he ever had something like that, like I mean, I was on vacation when he had it scheduled for, so I left my vacation to go there, and then came back to my vacation with my family, right?
Right.
So I missed my daughter's birthday. Um, and so it was just kind of like,
She'll
yeah,
understand one day.
yeah, I know, she turned one, so I'm sure she'll get it. Um, so, so yeah, I was like, yeah, yeah, of course I'll be there, man. It was like, no doubt, like I'll come for sure. And so booked everything I needed to book, and off I went.
And so, as in your channel this year, that this next year coming up, is there anything new that you're saying? I'm gonna I'm gonna try this. Is there anything new about your channel that's going to be coming up anytime soon?
Um, well, this with this coming new year, I'm not going to be posting as much, unfortunately, because, and if I am, I'm probably posting. If I am going to post as often, I'll probably be posting shorter stuff, just because, yeah, like things on the home, here at home, like our schedules are changing drastically, and
Right.
so I won't be live streaming at the same normal times, or generally in the same time, or as often as I normally have, which really sucks. But I mean, I have to take care of my family, and I have to do what's best for my family here. So yeah, so yeah, I think for the most part, I'm not overly sure. I know that I will be doing more just general stuff about scams, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
And
yeah.
uh, I'm like you. I've got a family I got to take care of.
Mhm.
I got a job I got to attend to. I've got all that. So I completely understand. And like I was saying earlier, I've I think I posted one, maybe two videos this whole entire month because it's
Mhm.
end of the year work and schedules, and I'm on call whenever I'm off today, but I'm on call 24/7 whenever I'm at work for 11 days straight. So either work is slow or work is constant, and right now work has been constant. So I understand where you're coming from on that, and so uh, I completely understand. We always got to make sure our families are taken care of first, and even though I think you're almost at 100,000 subscribers, but of course your family comes first, and this is just
No,
a little
I'm
hobby that you have, right?
yeah, I'm nowhere near, man. I'm nowhere near.
Well,
um,
it depends on what you compare. Almost near, like I said, I'm only at 300, so you're at you're
okay, I see what you mean.
you see what I
I see
mean?
what you mean.
You're almost at
Yeah,
100,000 compared to me. So,
I see what you mean. I
uh,
see what you mean.
but uh, whenever it comes to some of the scam baiting that you do, uh, I'm trying to kind of catch up on some of the things, but whenever it comes to your scam baiting, you typically go after the the telemarketer scams, and so I think that your channel actually started off going after the Canadian revenue uh,
Hmm.
scammers. which is the
Right.
same thing as the IRS scammers over here in America. And
Right.
so, uh, when did you decide that, hey, this this is something that could really blow up, and I really want to go after this? Because you did start off kind of doing it like some of us did. Whenever it comes to scam baiting, you kind of did it on the side, but didn't really start off with a channel. But when did you decide that, hey, I'm going to start posting this publicly?
Yeah, so basically the way that it happened for me was, I came across the first scam really that I mean, I've come across like scammy things in the past. Like I think someone tried to get me involved in a Ponzi scheme once, if I remember correctly. I think that's what it was called. It wasn't called a Ponzi scheme, but it was called Zeke Rewards. I don't know if anyone ever heard of that before, but you should look it up for sure. I don't. Maybe I haven't talked about this. Maybe I should make a video about this actually. But anyways, so I mean, I've come across like scammy things before, but the first time that I actually realized that it was something serious was when someone that I know was being romance scammed, and they literally thought that they were in love with this person. They were going to get married to this person, and no matter like what information was shown to them, they were just completely like, doesn't matter. Like, we're getting married next week, next month, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it just that perked my interest a little bit more. I was like, wow, this is like real. Like this really hurts people. And so the one time that I was listening to Stingray, this app where you could like listen to different radio stations. I listened to a radio station and they basically said, hey, this is the CRA scammers. This is their phone number. Call them. Let us know how it goes. So then I called the CRA scammers and I was doing like a voice because I wanted to disguise my voice. And the scammer just like cussed me out. So I called the radio station back and said, hey, the scammer cussed me out. And they said, no way. And I was like, yeah, I did some like accents or whatever. And then they said, oh, well, could you do another call for us? We'd love to, see if you could call for us. I said, sure. So then I think the next day or 2 days later, I called, they called me and then they three-wayed me with a scammer. And then I just kind of went through like that whole spiel as well. And I realized it was the CRA scammer. So back then, you're right. It was like the IRS scam. But so Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA scam was happening here in Canada, and it was huge. And it went on for a good, like, I would say like a good year or so before like it died down completely. And once it died down, I was kind of stuck because as far as like making content, because I didn't make any other content but Canada Revenue Agency scams, right? Like, no offense to you guys out in the States, but I thought there's plenty of scam baiters in the States to protect the Americans. I thought the Canadians need someone who is going to be talking about the CRA scam. And I didn't feel like there were any Canadian scam baiters at the time really talking about it, at least not that I knew of. And so I wanted to make sure that I was like talking about it, making sure people understood. And then once that died down, then I started calling SSA scammers. And then after I started calling SSA scammers, I started kind of getting into more of the refund scams, tech support scams, just once I felt a lot more comfortable. Like, I watched scam baiting stuff for like a good 2 years before I felt more comfortable branching out into this, letting them connect to a virtual machine, all that kind of stuff. Like, I was still terrified of that, like I even thought, yeah, using a virtual machine and them connecting, but I'm not using a VPN, for example, let's say, oh crap, they're still going to know kind of where I am, so it like there's like a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people just don't necessarily think about. But so then I branched out into that, and then I kind of just went down that route. I do not like calling real, like I like prank calling or scam baiting scammers. I don't like prank calling businesses or real people, unless someone is like unless someone's like paying for it to me or something, like, for example, if I have a subscriber who's like, hey, can you prank call like my mom and give her this like crazy situation about something that happened, and I make like an exclusive like recording for them, sure, but not something that I would post on my channel to say like, look at me prank calling these people, like you know what I mean, unless they're a scammer, like I'm not gonna do that. So so I stopped calling the medical alert people for that reason, right? So yeah.
Well, and so you say that you got different voices, so you don't use a voice changer. You actually, all your voices are naturally done by you only. And so, how many voices do you have right now? How many personalities do you have?
Like characters.
Yes.
I think I worked it out once. I think it was like 16, but they're all kind of like yeah, like there's like just like a mix of characters and stuff like that. So sometimes it's just like depending on who I feel, how I feel, and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, can you go over some of them? I just
yeah,
you know
so
we
I do the accents mainly to show people that it doesn't matter if what you sound like to a scammer, as long as they think you're a vulnerable person, they're gonna try to take advantage of you, and they'll even, especially here in Canada, they really try to take advantage of immigrants. You know, people who are here on like student visas or anything like that. Like they will literally try to take advantage of anyone. So there's like a bunch of different like accents that I'll do, and you know a lot of people really like Chico. Chico's my cholo character, which is like he's from like LA or California anyway, but he's Mexican as well. So
right.
he kind of talks like this, hey, bato? Like, so I'm trying to say, hey, how come? Hey, I got this thing pop up on my computer, eh? It says I got a virus. So like, I went to the doctor, eh? They took my blood. They said I'm clean, eh? There's no virus. So my computer says it's got a virus. How did it get infected, eh? Because like I'm clean, you know, stuff like that,
And
like
with
that.
Chico, what made you think of, hey, I'm going to do this character? Was it just like improv, or hey, I can make this character, so I'm going to
No,
do it, or
no, no. Like I draw a lot of inspiration from a lot of different like people, a lot of different characters and stuff like that. But like Friday is like one of my favorite movies, and Friday After Next and Next Friday, like those are like
hmm
some of my favorite movies. And there's like a couple of cholos in there, and I always found cholos like to be like hilarious. And
right,
I love this movie called Born in East LA with Cheech Marin from back in the day, and so like I was like, I wonder if I could do that like that accent or that voice, and so I just kind of like like with that voice, like I have to go a little bit higher, eh? Because like if I talk like this, it doesn't come
right.
across like the same way. You know what I mean? Like certain voices, you have to kind of have like a higher tone, eh? Because like if you say it like this, then it sounds more believable, eh? Simon, that's what's up. You know, like it's just very different. Like you have to kind of like figure out what kind of voice works in that sense. Um, and so yeah, so that's kind of like with that one. Obviously, the um Mrs. Doubtfire character, the yes, dear, no problem, dear. I got a call from this number. You know, like that comes from obviously Mrs. Doubtfire, and like I'm not, like that's I just never thought that I would say dear so many times. I find like when I say yes, dear, it just makes it seem more believable. But it's annoying as hell to say it too, to believe it or not. Like I'm not trying to say it on purpose. It just kind of like comes out.
Right.
So
Well, my favorite character from you personally, and I don't think you've done it in a while, or you might have. I just might have missed it. Is Bambutu. That has always been my favorite
oh
character
yes,
from you.
yes. Mambutu's been around for a while. He's been around for a long, long time. He actually has a, I don't know if I tell you, but he has a gratitude rock business. You go onto the website www.butusgratituderocks.com. It's not a real website, but just go on there and you could buy my gratitude rocks. I don't know if I have any around here. Let me take a look. I don't think so. But if I find one, I will show it to you. Let me look. I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it.
But they I tell you what, we whenever it comes to your videos, and just the fact of seeing people like you get to go to the people's call center, and the things that you do are, you know I I've invited different people on this stream this morning from different platforms on how they do scam baiting. As you've seen, I had Scammer Takeout on here, who mainly goes after the PCH scammers, and y'all both go after uh the telemarketer scams. And you know just the work that y'all put in is amazing. We got people that are coming on that are from each of y'all's channels that are, and I'm like you now. I can't really put into words about it, but I really appreciate everything that you do on this. And Miss Annie, she's been an inspiration to me on things, and the way that she does, because that's what I do. I go after the romance scammers, and I have to go to it in a different way because I'm male, and there's a lot more females that go out there and get scammed. So I have to do my characters in different ways. But I really appreciate what y'all do. So is there any recent project? Can't remember if I asked you that, but is there anything recent that you got going on that you're working on?
Yeah, so there's gonna be a so going forward, I think I'm going to be doing probably one weekly live stream. Um, but it won't be on my channel. It'll be on a different channel. Um, and so I'm gonna be featured on that channel for live streams only. I think they're only gonna be a live streaming channel. It's only gonna be a live streaming channel anyway. And so yeah, it hasn't launched yet. I think it's gonna launch tomorrow.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
And you say
that's
it's
the
going to
only
be
like
on a
project I
different
have.
channel. Is it going to be
hmm
different than Dale Club?
Yeah, it's gonna be different than Deo.
I got you. And if you can email that. I mean, you can say it on here if you want. I don't if you want to, but you can email it to me, and I'll post that on. I'll post that in the description below, so people that may actually read the description, the two people that may read the description, will see it and be able to go find it if they get the time or if they want to see it. So
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you guys know as soon as it comes out. I'll probably tweet it or talk about it in my Twitch streams. Yeah. So I'll let you know for sure though.
so whenever whenever it comes to your streams and whenever you post a video on YouTube, about how long does it take you from the time you call up a scammer and talk to them to the time you post a video? How long do you think it take? How what kind of hours do you think it takes you to do that?
Oh man. So it depends. It just depends on how long the bait goes for. It depends on like if it's good enough, like where I feel like uh maybe there was like a few laughs here and there that people could have, then I'll say, okay, yeah, maybe I can make a video out of this. But I don't make a video out of like every single one. But if I feel like it's like decent, then I'll say, yeah, okay, cool. But sometimes like I'll just go on and do other things like with the home life, and I forget that I don't even like make notes of like this is what happened in this stream. You know what I mean? Like no idea. Like I'm so
Right.
disorganized when it comes to that stuff. Like I should probably be like, December 31st live Twitch live stream. Talk to a scammer from PayPal. This was funny. This was funny. This was funny. Or this happened. This happened. Like that kind of thing. I don't make notes like that though. So it's just like I just like, and then I just save my live streams, and then what I'll do sometimes is I'll go back and be like, okay, let me watch like an old live stream and let me see if I find like a good call in there. And like I'll watch one of like my old recorded live streams, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, this is decent enough to make a video out of it. And so then what I'll do is then I'll take that part and I'll put it into my editing program. And yeah, I do edit myself. So then I'll take that, I'll put it into my program, and then it just from there it just depends on how creative I want to be. Sometimes I don't feel as creative in the sense of like I just want to get the video out like sooner rather than later. And sometimes I feel like I want to add a lot more detail to it. And so then I'll just kind of like spend more time, you know, doing that kind of thing.
Well,
And
uh,
so,
we got one question on here, and it says, uh, do you do your edit yourself? So I mean, you
yeah,
still edit all your videos and everything, right?
yeah, yeah, I do. I'm not monetized on YouTube, so
Right.
I don't have that YouTube money coming in like a lot of other channels do. And so I would hire an editor because I know that there are better editors than me for sure. You know what I
Well,
mean? I would
uh,
hire an editor if I could, but I don't. So
and Miss Annie, you also do your own editing too. I mean, none of your editing is done by somebody else. So it it actually costs pretty. I don't know how much it costs to have somebody else do your editing, but uh, Miss Annie, same thing with you. Whenever it comes to your editing, from the time, because I mean you do romance scams, so you're not just doing a phone call uh and then just post it. How long do you think it takes for you to bait one of these scammers and then go through and turn it into a video? It takes me setting a minute to for her voice to come in. I think she's got about a 20-second delay. So I, if it comes in, we I think you're I don't think we hear you at all, Miss Annie, for some reason. So, uh,
Yeah.
but I know I can answer just from my own experience whenever it comes to posting my videos of like the one that I did with uh Karen. Whenever I went through with Karen, I spent almost a month and a half with Karen, baiting Karen, going through and doing every scenario I can with trying to show this is what these scammers will do in order to try to steal money from you, how they will try to steal the money from you, and this is what you can do in order to prevent it. And so, whenever it comes to romance scams, it
The baits. I'm probably going to be horribly delayed again, aren't I?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, Miss Annie. We heard
The
something.
baits last anything from a few days to several weeks. Sometimes if it's going on for a long time, I'll make the videos as it goes along. So oh,
Oh, I think she might be like a minute or 2 minutes behind.
Right.
I wonder if it's are you using a special like program to connect to StreamYard, Miss Annie? Because if you are, there might be a delay in your headset, or there might be a delay with the way the audio is being processed by the website. But oh, you're just directly connecting. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there ain't no telling what's going on. But I know, like I said, it takes me about between it sometimes takes me a month or two between the time I find a scammer and, like you said, Deo, sometimes some of my baits don't even make it to a video because I don't really see it YouTube worthy or video worthy. And sometimes even whenever you live stream, whenever you personally live stream, Deo, sometimes things just, I mean, you never know how a call is going to go. Sometimes you
Right.
make five, 6, 7 phone calls and they really lead to nothing. And sometimes you make one phone call and you're on there for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, a lot of your videos on YouTube, sorry you had to go, Miss Annie. Yeah, you could try to pop back in if you want to see how that works and go from there. But most of your videos you get on for YouTube come from whenever you stream on places like Twitch and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, like it's I call scammers like outside of YouTube and stuff like that too, or outside of streaming. And I've had like there's a video that I have which is where I just used two tunes in the video itself. It was when I did Igor the Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one I did while not streaming, and I believe the having my kids in it for a callback with a pivot. There's like a pivot, and I had the kids come in and say, scream pivot,
Oh no,
pivot. That was also
friends.
done. Yeah, that was also not during a live stream. But sometimes I forget to turn my camera on. I'm just recording through OBS, and then I'll turn my camera. I'll forget to turn my camera on, and then I just start recording the audio, and then I'm like, oh
Right,
crap, I didn't have my camera on, so this video is gonna look a little different. So I'm like, oh dang.
right.
So yeah.
But and so you stream on Twitch a lot. Is that because YouTube policies and stuff kind of get in the way of the things that you try to stream?
No, so it was funny. So once YouTube demonetized me and like rejected a couple of my appeals, I just thought like, what's the sense of me like doing a live stream on YouTube if and like I don't want to say in like bringing more eyes to YouTube when they're not even like really being considerate of like me and what I've been explaining to them about the demonetization thing. So, you know, people were like, well, why don't you stream over on Twitch? And I was like, all right. So I tried Twitch and I was like, I really like Twitch actually. I like live streaming on Twitch because of like the interaction that can happen on Twitch, like point redeems and things like that. I really like that. But now I notice that YouTube is doing a lot more of that kind of stuff as well. And so I was talking to someone about like them starting a channel and just featuring me on the channel. And so that's probably what's going to happen on YouTube. And hopefully they can like, we get that back to like getting monetized on that channel, on the live stream channel. And then, you know, we'll see. Eventually, who knows? Like I might take it over or whatever, and it'll be my new channel. Who knows? I don't know. It just depends.
So also whenever you've done some streaming, you've also have collaborated with some people other than in the people's call center. You've collaborated with some people. And do you have any future collaborations you have with anybody?
No, I don't have anything in the works like planned, but yeah, I don't have anything like in the extreme foreseeable future that's like, hey, yeah, this person and I are working together on this project. No.
Right.
No.
Is there anybody notable that you've worked with in the past that you've enjoyed the most with?
I enjoy working with everyone for different reasons. I think with Renoa, we just play well off of each other when it comes to talking to the scammers. And then same with Dr. Fell, like I feel like Dr. Fell and I, we play off of each other like really, really well as well. I didn't get a chance to collaborate with Dr. Fell this year, which was a kind of a bummer, or Renoa this year actually, which was also kind of a bummer. But did have a chance to collaborate with like Pleasant Green and I don't know. I don't even know if I could say I collaborated with Trilogy Media because like we just kind of spoke, but then like they did a lot of like the legwork on the Pleasant Green project, and so it was kind of like that. And then yeah, and Papa Monkey, doing stuff with Papa Monkey was also really fun. He's just kind of like, hey, you know, he's like, I'd love to animate one of your videos. Would you be open to that? And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So yeah. So that was fun too.
Well, I'll tell you what, Renault is probably one of my, other than Deo, but my
you could have your favorites. It doesn't matter. I'm not like, oh my
Renault
gosh, I'm not your
probably-
favorite. Oh no, how can you not? Can I
Renault's
not be your
probably
favorite?
one
Oh my
of my top
god.
3 people to watch, just because it's like every one of her videos, she knows how to just hit that nerve on the scammer, and just it's like she could hit that nerve at the same time of keeping them on the phone, and it's just like their world is just ended that day.
Yeah.
But they still can't get off the phone with her, and I don't know how she does it, but it's just fun watching her. And
Yeah.
so
I think something that people don't realize, and I think this goes out to any lady scam baiters out there. One, we need more of you. Two, I don't think you realize like the power that you have when talking to scammers, because sometimes these guys will just talk to you just for the fact that you're female. You know what I mean? Just for the fact that you're a lady. They just want to talk to a lady so that they can then start talking about, you know, they go into their perverted diatribes or whatever, right? But they do that with the men, but instead of saying it directly to us, they'll say like, oh, your mom, your sister, this, that, and the other, right?
right.
But you know, for the most part, I think like people need to realize that, yeah, like you could you could keep a scammer going for a long time. You know, just,
Right,
just
exactly.
being,
And it's just they like you said, they hold a certain there's certain things that them scammers go through, and sometimes them scammers will just completely forget about their scam for a minute and either try to hit on them and everything. And a lady scam baiter will kind of use that to their advantage, and that scammer will go way off subject of things, and depending on how far they'll go, it's depending on how far the scam baiter will go. And so I think that's what Renoa does, is she just kind of goes through uh and just kind of feed off of that and just go further and further and further. And that scammer doesn't realize that scam baiter is just using every bit of that to waste their time. And 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later, next thing you know, that scammer has not made a bit of money off of anything because that scam baiter is done use it. And so that's why I created my character. I, I created Mildred because it seems like Mildred is somebody that scammer will just talk and talk and talk with. I don't really do a
right.
lot of telemarketer scams. I will go through and answer one every now and then, but whenever I do, I'll use Mildred because it seems like them scammers just, especially whenever it comes to an older lady, them scammers just love to talk to older ladies because they think, oh, well, an easy victim. And so that's why I think that my character Mildred works out like she does, because it sounds pretty realistic and it's taken a while to create her. But also, them scammers just think, oh, easy victim. I'm going to make sure I scam this older lady for everything she's worth, which is kind of a sick, on our end, we think about it. It's kind of a sick deal to think that somebody would take advantage of an older person like that. And so that's why we do the things we do. And we hope that our information gets out to the public to where we share this and say, you know, protect yourselves, and we hope that people that watch this will share this with their family members, with their friends, and especially the older people.
Right. Yeah, I think the most important thing out of all of the things that we do is like awareness as much as possible. Just awareness needs to be, man, so key and so crucial for people to be able to, get the help they need. We can't
Right.
help everybody, and that's like, honestly, that's like the kind of sucky thing is like you hope that your videos are gonna make a difference in the lives of someone, but it will make the difference in the life of the right person who is open to it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah.
Ishmael, how you doing? Everybody that has joined in, I really appreciate y'all joining in. We have had different uh guests on here today. We've had romance scammers and online scams. She was on today. She's been having kind of technical difficulties. We had Scammer Takeout on earlier today. I appreciate him coming on. And right now we got Deo, you know, and I I I talked to one scam baiter the other day, and I said to him, you know, I appreciate everything you do. You're one of the best out there, you know. And that scam baiter kind of reminded me of something, and saying that the things that we do, you know, the things that we do are great. There's not really one scam baiter that's like, that's the greatest, or that this and that, because everything that we do is, it's kind of the way we scam bait. Each of us has it's kind of like a personality. We
Right.
each have a different personality, just like we got each of us has a way that we scam bait. And so everything that we do, I know that that he reminded me, saying people will see this, and not everybody's going to be needs that information, but there might be that one person that sees it and says, I really appreciate seeing this, and so they share it. And so, I guess he was kind of reminding me that, you know, just because you're a scam baiter and you may have 50 subscribers, or you may have 1 million subscribers that don't, and so appreciate the, you know, the fact that you even put this out there and the work that you put in. And there's not one person that is better than the other. It's just, we're, you know,
Yeah,
our
I think
our
it's
information's out there.
yeah, I think it's subjective. Everyone has. You're gonna have your different. You have your preferences and everything. You know what I mean? So I might not be someone's cup of tea, but someone else might really like, I don't know, scamming scammers. Like that channel, like that might be more up their alley as opposed to me, or someone might be more of like, hey, I prefer like the trilogy media kind of stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like everybody, there's like different flavors for different people. And so I look at it like wrestling, like I'm a big wrestling fan. And so, my favorite wrestler will probably not be someone else's favorite wrestler. And we all have our different reasons why we prefer, a specific person over another. And we all, I think for the most part, I think we try to stand out, one from another. We try to maybe be a little bit different than the other person, not exact copies of one another. But I think, what's the most important thing is that we all can take scammers down together, right? That as a collective, yes, we are different flavors, but you put us all like in the same bucket of like we're all working towards the same purpose of bringing scammers down and all that kind of stuff. And there's so many different, I mean, I think you've probably, yeah, you came to it a few times. I think that when I used to do the Saturday night streams, where I used to do pick your baiter, and people would like, there was a wheel that would go around and then a name would get drawn up, and then they'd tell me like a video of a specific scam baiter they wanted to watch for like a certain period of time. And then like I would talk about, hey, if you like that kind of stuff, like go subscribe to that scam baiter. Again, for that reason, like everybody has like different people that they like. And so it's good to be, it's good to have that variety and all that kind of stuff. Like if there's someone else who's out there who can do accents like me, like I've talked to so many voice actors that I watch that are funny people, right? And I literally like message them. I'm like, dude, you've got to come join the scam baiting community, like, because they're so good. They're so good on that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
And so, but for me, I feel like, as far as me personally, like that's one of the things that I feel how I want to stand out is I don't use a voice changer. I don't, I try to use my own voice for a lot of the things that I do. And so for me, I'm like, okay, hopefully to the right person who likes this kind of stuff, like to voice acting people, maybe that's kind of like what they prefer. You know what I mean? And so maybe that'll, scream up their alley. And for a lot of other creators, it might be something completely different. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah.
And there's some people who just prefer not to scam bait, but just love to watch it and use the information and share the information, So, everybody's got, even people in the chat that have never scam baited. Just the fact that you share these streams and share these videos, to me, that's scam baiting. That's a piece of scam baiting because you're help preventing scams. So that's,
Right.
to me, that's part of scam baiting, and we all do our part one way or another. And so, so just to let you know, I'm not going to be on here much longer. I got some stuff I got to do. I've got, but
Yeah.
one of the things I was going to ask you is, do you have anything this evening that you're doing, live streaming or anything like that for the end of the year?
No.
Or no,
No, not
Gotcha.
not that I can not that I can say yes. It's planned. At least not nothing that's planned right now. But I do have to get going though right now as well. So thank you for having me on, Rodger. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's supporting Rodger and supporting this live stream. I really appreciate it, and I will chat with y'all later.
I appreciate it, Mr. Dale, and I will talk to you soon. I appreciated him coming on and all my guests. Uh, this next year, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm preparing for. Of course, I've got so much material. I'm kind of like how Miss Annie is, except I don't have them pre-recorded. Everything that I record is just post it as I go. But I've got one scammer that I baited right after Karen. Her name is Regina. Regina was just a totally different character. Y'all stick around and be looking out for that. I'm going to try to do some more improv telemarketer scams this year. And I still got a lot of telemarketer scams that I've got saved from the past that I need to do a video on. Everybody, I appreciate y'all coming out and watching this stream. For my guest, I really appreciate y'all coming out. It meant a lot to me. Like I said, this is my Christmas gift to myself, having y'all come on. And I thank y'all so much. And so, for my moderators that were on there, I appreciate y'all being in the background. For everybody that has helped me through the year, that has been in the background. I don't know if y'all want to be named or not, but I'm not. Just out of respect. If y'all want to be out there, I'll call one out there. Janice, Miss Janice has kind of been in the background for me, helping me out with certain things, guiding me. She is kind of one of the people that's kind of started me out with scam baiting, helping out. And I do have a few scam baits that we did a couple years ago where we kind of tag team on some scammers. So I appreciate it. Linda Steele, she has been kind of a supporter for me. Miss Annie from Romance Scammers and Online Scams, she has been kind of in the background talking to me every now and then, kind of guiding me on things. So I appreciate it. And everybody that is subscribed to my channel, just a simple subscription, it really influences me and kind of motivates me. So I really appreciate you all that go through and watch my material and give me advice. I read everybody's comments. I'll be going back through and reading all the comments on the live stream. I really appreciate everything that y'all do. So I appreciate it. And I hope that y'all have a good new year. Y'all stay safe out there. And, I hope to see y'all next year. And so I'm going to end the stream right here. And I appreciate it. This is your boy, Rodger Williams, over and out.
I told you again and again, we are not going to call again in this number.